Good morning. I'm very excited here. My name is Albert Kruger from Mardi Gras. I'm this current CEO, and I'm really excited on the eve of Mardi Gras' 42nd anniversary. And we have two very special individuals who have not only been with this organization since its inception, but have been one of the, well, singularly, most probably the biggest supporters Mardi Gras has had to date, because you've been with us from day one. So welcome, Diane, Minnis with the 78ers and the originals. And of course, also we have Lance Mumby joining us for this very interesting, chat about not only the anniversary, but also the history of the 78ers weaved amongst all these different colorful years. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we know a lot about the original Mardi Gras night itself, but what was the lead up to June 1978, and what was it like to be part of that movement then, and the difference to what it is now?
I'll let Diane take that one.
Yeah, well, look, I was involved in the Gay Solidarity Group, which came together as a coalition of different gay and lesbian groups. After a letter was received from activists in San Francisco asking for international gay solidarity because of the right-wing Christian attacks on the gay community in California with the Briggs Initiative. We were busy organising a daytime march and a forum, and a couple of weeks beforehand, some guys from Camp Inc., one of the groups involved, Campaign Against Moral Persecution, came along with the idea of a nighttime fun event for our community. And it was 2 weeks, and people swung into action and hired a truck and a sound system, and some of the blokes leafleted in Oxford Street. I know there was a lesbian postering group. I had my leg in a walking plaster from my motorbike accident, so I didn't do any of the physical stuff, but was there on the night. And one of the things that we were, and it was quite a broad coalition of groups. One of the things we were doing on the night was chanting out of the bars and onto the streets.
And that's where I came into it, because I come from a different angle with Mardi Gras. I was actually in one of the bars, and we were encouraged to come out that night. And I had a boyfriend, probably about 6 months. We were together in the end for 20 years, but we went out into the streets with one of the barmen, whom we still know, and we joined the parade down to the end of Oxford Street, and pursued on further up William into the Cross, and then it all happened from there.
Yeah,
isn't that right, Di?
Oh yeah. And that's as Albert said, it's well documented. But
yeah,
it was a lot of stuff happened afterwards. There was a huge amount of support came in for what we called the Drop the Charges campaign, which led to some other major demonstrations. And you were involved in those too, weren't you, Lance?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Even on the night of the initial parade, we initially, after the shock, then we went up to the police station up in I think it was it's Oxford and
Darlinghurst.
Yeah, that's right. And we all sort of supported those inside that night, and it went on from there. And we became a part of the whole thing year on year, and tried to support where we could.
But we had huge support from, there were straight people, there were people from the Civil Liberties Council, there were legal people who gave free representation. There were just lots of different people who were part of that. They really were.
It's actually
a huge upswell of support, yeah.
It's actually really interesting if you think about it, just, in that singular one night, this movement was created, and what is today, Mardi Gras has become a global brand, and it is recognized all over the world. And interesting, reading the other day, it's actually on the top 10 things to do, within the LGBTQ community in the world. It's actually on the top 10 list of things to do, must-attend events. And that is just, something that was built on this movement and this support, and it's just phenomenal. And so now it's grown and it's into this, you know, new something. It's now a not-for-profit charity. It's got DGR status, you know, and it's focusing on support of the community and marginalized, you know, portions of the community. How the 78 is now involved with Mardi Gras, you know, is it a fair day parade? How do you guys feel that you're still connected to what Mardi Gras is? And how important is it for us to, you know, have that momentous connection with you guys?
Well, for me, I was so happy when Mardi Gras itself formed the committee for the 78ers, and that really got us back involved. I mean, it wasn't really until the 20th anniversary where we sort of became back involved, you know, as a group. We all formed that night, and even some of us actually performed in Stars Come Out. I don't know if Di was in that particular show at the State Theatre, but
yes, I was. The 20th anniversary. Yeah,
it was fantastic, and from that on night, it's grown. And then a few years back, of course, Mardi Gras formed the 78ers Committee, and which I've now been involved with a couple of years. And it's great because I just feel that now we're sort of a little bit recognised, and you know, and yes, we do the fair day. I was there. I was there. I did a speech that day.
That's right.
Just before Clover, and it's great, and the support that we receive on that day. We have a tent there, and it's just amazing. Yeah. So, and just one thing I mentioned after that day, I had a few young people come up to me, send me emails, and I've done actually interviews to help them as a 78er with their efforts in the community.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the committee's a really good interface between Mardi Gras, and we try and outreach to the broader 78 group of 78ers, and it gives us a real avenue to do that. And we're very happy with the support we've got from Mardi Gras with our float, paying for the bus and banners, and our fabulous T-shirts, which Lance and I are modelling.
Amazing. Love it. Love it.
And they've been the last couple of years, they've been a great hit with people who might have come in for the 40th anniversary, but haven't come in for the next few Mardi Gras. And they might be getting older, and they live all over Australia and some overseas as well, but they want to be part of it and have this identification. So it's very, very interesting, or very heartening, the reaction, basically. Yeah.
Must be such an emotional thing for you guys at Fair Day, with all these next younger generations coming up to talk to you about that night and everything that's built up. And I mean, it must be such an amazing, proud feeling you guys must feel to have started this amazing movement. It's actually so, even for me, it's heartwarming, because I always think that, you know, an organization can never really know where it's going if it's forgotten where it's come from. And that's the thing, is you always need to remember what brought us to this point in time, and you know, how can we really recognize and respect and build on it. And I think that's always the biggest thing is Mardi Gras, whoever is in the team at Mardi Gras, it's a major responsibility to make sure that this massive ship stays on course, and we continue to pay tribute to the amazing work you guys have done. So that's really, really fantastic. What are your thoughts on Mardi Gras now? I mean, of course, it's become this, you know, this new organization, you know, and the importance of taking to the streets in protests and celebrations of our LGBTQI communities.
Well, you know, I think back on that night, you know, 42 years ago, and then it really took another 5 years before, you know, gay relationships became legal. So we were all running around behind the scenes, totally, you know, you could have been arrested at the drop of a hat. And I now look at how the young people have so much freedom and acceptance. And yes, there are still issues out there, but, you know, I'm just amazed at how far we've come. And, you know, even a few years ago, we had the apology at Parliament House. About 2 years ago, the apology at the police centre. And, you know, for me, I just found that unbelievable that this would happen, that after all those years. And I look back and I think, my goodness, how far we've come. And it's due to the support of the community too.
Yeah, because as I said earlier, there was a lot of different people came in to support us then. And there was a big upsurge of activism that happened after that. As Lance said, law reform, the Anti-Discrimination Act came in, a whole lot of stuff where, while it was illegal for gay men, lesbians were harassed by police as well. There was a lot of things happening, a lot of discrimination in jobs and all sorts of things. And so a lot of that has improved over the years. But I think it's still very important that we have the parade out there. It's a beacon for people in areas who don't have our freedoms. It's a beacon for young people coming out. And it's still hard for some people to come out in some areas and in some religious families and all that sort of thing as well. So I think it's really important that we do that and maintain that. And we've got our fingers crossed for next year, Albert, in terms of what happens with the COVID restrictions, and can we have a safe parade, particularly for people of our generations.
Yeah, I can assure you that's one of the biggest things that we're focusing on right now is what does, you know, post-COVID festival look like, you know, and that's, that is, again, a big responsibility to be able to pull something like that off safely. Otherwise, you know, Mardi Gras would never take the opportunity of doing something like that if we weren't 100% sure that people were safe and could, you know, come and be part of the bigger thing. I just wanted to touch on what Lance was saying a little bit earlier in terms of, you know, you had the public apology at Parliament House and you had the public apology from the police centre, you know, because it is a very complicated relationship with the police. How do you guys now feel about the integration of police, you know, and supporting, and you've had the apology and what's going on? Has your relationship changed?
Look, you know, after that night 42 years ago, I was always very, very, it took a long time, and I won't go into what happened to us, but, you know, I just think that you have to forgive and forget, move on. And I think what the Commission has done now is just outstanding. And I accept that he's genuine, and I believe that, you know, he's trying to do their best. So I think that we should all accept it and work with them.
Look, I agree that there's been a sea change really in attitudes towards our community within, well, most of the police. There's still some homophobic police around. And in fact, I've been involved in some internal education stuff with some other 78ers with the police. And they openly say, look, are there homophobic police? Yes. Are there homophobic people in the community? Yes. I mean, it's a reflection of the community. And I think we've just got to keep up with that positive relationship. And it's come along a long way, of course, in 42 years. But there are still tactics that come up in policing, like at the end of the Black Lives Matter protest earlier this month, where people were trapped in Central Station, and that was very reminiscent of what happened to us in King's Cross in 1978. Some of those tactics are still used, and I think that you know, there probably needs to be some education with regard to the First Nations community as well, as has happened along the lines of the education some of us have been involved in with the police force. But overall, I mean, yes, the relationship in regard to Mardi Gras and our community has improved immensely.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Thank you guys so much. And as we said, it's our 42nd anniversary. It's time to celebrate again. I hope you guys have ordered your cakes to slice the birthday cake to celebrate with maybe some tea over tea time. And if you guys have any other additional comments, or I'm sure there might be some people in Mardi Gras land that would like to contact the 78ers and hear a few more stories, we'll share your bios, etc. So that if they wanted to get in contact with you, with your respective groups, of course, we'll happily share that through Mardi Gras land and ensure that we can share the love and make sure that we pay tribute to the 78ers who were the proud trailblazers ahead of time. Thank you guys so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Albert.
And,
Thanks, Albert.
We look forward to seeing you at the next Mardi Gras.
Happy
Terrific.
anniversary.
Thank you guys so much.
Happy birthday.
Happy anniversary to you. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Albert. Okay, ciao.
Cheers. Bye.